Good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you. Happy Monday morning. Here we go. Everything's set. I'm back upstairs. As you can see, it's a beautiful day here in New England this morning. I'm in Connecticut. It is cold, but it's not miserable. I can be in the breezeway running a show, which is very, very handy. Basement at night, breezeway on weekdays. Let's see how long I can do this before expiring. Lots of stuff coming up that I want to tell you about. Before I forget, I keep forgetting to mention in person a couple of things. Main thing is that tonight at Tigger, right? If you're also a member of Tigger, the International Guild of Hand Hooking Rug Makers, God, that's a mouthful. I wish we could keep it Tigger and make it a little bit more of a streamlined acronym. Anyway, tonight at Tigger, I've set up the Zoom to bring in Yvonne Eiten Scott, who is the former president. She is a Canadian. She is very, very well known rug hooker. She's been in magazines, all kinds of things. And she, as the former Tigger president, last time when it was a Canadian board, and we had our event in Niagara Falls, Canada, it was Yvonne who was in charge of everything. So she had my role then. I've taken over the role as president, and it is a real honor to be able to bring in past board members, particularly the president, to tell us what she's been up to. And what she's been up to is she does a lot of residencies. And this is such a magical world to me, the thought of traveling around the world and doing these artist residencies all over the place. It's so far from my mind right now with kids still in like elementary school that it's such a pipe dream thing. And I'm so anxious to hear what she has to say tonight. She's going to do a presentation with photographs. If you are a Tigger member, and I hope you are, if you're a Tigger member, make sure that you tune in for that. It will also be recorded. I'll be recording it as a Zoom. People will be able to participate. It's a Zoom format. It's not this format. So I'm bringing her in, but we're hosting it as a Zoom so people can interact directly with Yvonne. It's a pretty big deal, and I hope that you'll be there. I just also want to say that we figured out at Tigger, we're figuring things out as we go along, because one of the things that we had to do when we took over the board, when we took over the organization as the next set of volunteers, right? This is a not-for-profit, but it is the only international sort of rug hooking guild, which also is a big deal. And we want to make sure that we keep going full blast and grow it if we can, even during these crazy days. So when we came in, we realized that the website that had been used hitherto was an utter disaster. I mean, it was like more than 9 out of 10 thumbnails were sideways like this of the same person, like not of yourself, but of the same person. There was a lot of problems with it. It was a platform. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was a platform that wouldn't outwork as times change and technology becomes a bit more sophisticated. No way. So the first thing we were asked to do was find another platform that could host sort of an infinite group of members who want to interact with each other and chat, but also host live streams and classes, right? Storing classes and stuff up there, storing a lot of things like patterns and articles and archives. It's a lot. It becomes a lot. So you need a big site that you have to pay for every month. But it's every time you want to add something different, like the ability for members to chat with each other or email each other, that's another layer of expense, because that's another layer of complication and sophistication. Mighty Networks is what we landed with, because it does everything, and it is expensive, and they're all expensive. So that's like not even a thing, but it does do everything. The problem, we've had one problem with it, and I want to be super transparent, because Rebecca just figured this problem out. If it was up to me and someone was like holding a gun to my head to solve this problem, even over the course of like my lifetime, I wouldn't do it. I would lose. I would be gone. Impossible. There was a problem. In case you have tried to join Tigger and you found that you could not pay, we found that there was a problem for Apple users who were using their phone, which is basically half of the people who tried to sign up. And what Rebecca figured out, holy crap, right? Seriously, like if she didn't do it, we would still be in the dark. What we figured out is that, and this is not something Mighty Networks, this is something Apple. I'm a Samsung user, but Joss is an Apple user. I'm not going to talk trash about anything, but what we found out is that when Apple, you know how you have the wallet and stuff on your phone works different than your computer. Your wallet is on your phone. So when you're using your phone and you're in an Apple device, Apple will automatically, besides all its charges and fees, which are incredible, besides that, they will take an extra 15% of what you spent if you do it on your phone. And so I think at some point Haley disabled that because we're a not for profit. So if we can't get the amount, we're making everything as inexpensive as we can, from the membership to later on when we actually have the event, people are coming to the event, we're doing classes, and we want everything to be, this is a not for profit, right? We want to cover our bases and not make a loss, but we're not looking to gouge. So we're not looking to add 15% on stuff for some people, but not for others. So what Haley did, just in case this happened to you, because out of the Tigger members we had so far, Rebecca noted, and this is a accurate figure, that 1/3 of the people who signed up for Tigger did not pay because they had a problem with this exact thing. So, and on one particular day we were clocking it, more than 50% of people tried to join and couldn't pay because they were on Apple phones. So I just want you to know that the problem, I believe, is fixed. I think we might be absorbing the 15% as a loss. I don't know how else we can go about it. I think Haley's still working on it. But I think what Rebecca is doing, if she sees people are struggling and signed up but not paid, she reaches out to say, are you like me? Are you struggling with technical stuff? Because I think I can help. And just switching to a computer rather than the phone helps, because then you are separated from your phone on your wallet, which is sometimes convenient, but it's sometimes scary. So that's what was going on there. We didn't realize that it had been disabled because we were saying no to the 15% for nothing, but it actually said no to taking payment. So we're so sorry about that. And again, for people who are thinking like Mighty Networks sucks, why did you choose Mighty Networks? It's not Mighty Networks, it's Apple. And it was us trying to, as a not-for-profit, avoid what will be, over the course of hundreds or 1,000+ members, it will be a lot of money for us to lose. So we were trying to figure out how to skirt that. In any case, if you're thinking, oh, that's me, and I really want to watch tonight's show, and Haley's coming up. Haley just put out a Tigger pattern, and she's doing the hook along for International Rug Hooking Day, which I think is December 5th. So she's hosting that. I'm hosting my thing at the church that day. And I've hosted a couple of things already on Tigger. Haley's going to host that with this beautiful pattern that she put up. So if you're thinking, I did want to get in, I just couldn't handle the frustration, right? The grief and aggravation that I was getting when I was trying to sign up. Give it another whirl, or get in touch with me or Rebecca. If you get in touch with me, I'm going to refer Rebecca to you, just because I'm not the person to help with technical stuff, as you know. But I hope that you are a member, and I hope that you'll tune in for Yvonne tonight, because it will be so inspiring to think of all the different places and continents where she's gone, to learn more things about fiber arts and rug hooking. Yeah, she's done a lot. She has done a lot. So I'm really looking forward to that. Linda, great to see you. Happy New Week. Happy Thanksgiving week to viewers and friends in the U.S. This is just, I'm sure, as it was in Canada when you just celebrated your Thanksgiving. It's like it consumes the whole week, doesn't it? Because everything revolves around Thanksgiving and Black Friday, which is so strange to me, right? That they're like back to back like that. I get it. But I tried to go to the mall yesterday for a couple hours with the kids because they wanted to do something, and I couldn't think of anything to do that would only be 20 minutes away. So I said, why don't we go to the mall? We haven't gone to the mall for, like, I don't know, 2 years. We're not really mall people. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll get some Christmas stuff. Maybe I'll start getting going on stockings and things like that. Oh my God, I couldn't park the car. I was driving around like an idiot trying to find a parking space. And I thought, what's going on? You always try to rationalize what's going on here. Is it like that it's a cold day and people aren't doing stuff outside? Is it like, and I'm thinking, of course it's not. It's Black Friday already, right? We're already having these crazy sales. So this is just like an action-packed week over here. And it seems, sadly to me, like at this point in time, only a tiny slice of it, like the slice of like a pecan pie, right? Little slice. Only a tiny slice of it these days is actually about Thanksgiving and relaxing with your family. It's about getting a jump start on Black Friday, which seems like such a shame. But it is part of, don't believe me, I'm the biggest consumer there is. I love to buy stuff. But it seems sad to me that those two things are crossing so closely. And I feel like this should be a week of moving very slow like a sloth and making food and getting ready to put your sweatpants on, getting ready to hibernate. And instead, it's like rush, rush, rush. That's the last parking space. You cut me off. You beep, 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 beep. And yeah, that's what it is. That's what it looks like anyway. Maybe not on the Cape, Cheryl, although that's a beautiful mall out there. I struggle to park at that mall in any season. Cheryl, it's great to see you. Beautiful day there with the sun out. It's in the high 40s here. Very pretty day, but chilly. Kirsten, great to see you. Happy Monday. Kirsten just left me a message and said she was working on a project for Magpie Times, and now that that project is set or settled, right, as settled as it is for this stage, she said, I don't know what I'm doing next. That's so easy to relate to because I was having the same thing. Last night I sat down, I thought, should I work on text for the Rose book because now I've pushed that to the new year, or should I work on one of the finished pieces, or should I get the slides ready for the show? And I ended up working on actually hooking, which I hardly ever do, and watching TV for an hour before I was unconscious. It's hard to choose in between projects, isn't it? It's hard when you finish a project and all of your brain power is consumed by the project that's in your hands, and then you finish it or you put it down and you think, who am I? Where am I going? What's it all about, Alfie? Like you just don't have anything. You can't think. Yes, I can relate. I can well relate. And I was thinking to myself, actually, once I introduce Yvonne tonight, I'm going to want to work on something because she might be talking for, I would say, at least an hour, if not two. And I can't just sit there for that time or I will implode. So I was thinking, do I want to work on the rose thing, or I need constant like cutting and stuff with the rose thing because I'm choosing colors as I go and thinking, am I going to work on something else? And what would that be? Oh, and other times you're sitting like buried alive by half finished projects, right? So pendulum swings. Sue's great to see you in Kansas. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Let's say it as many times as we can because it's going to be suddenly be by us and we're going to be saying something else very soon. Newman, I can't join tonight, but I hope absolutely there will be a recording. It's on Zoom, so I know there'll be a recording. I'm going to save it to my computer and I will upload it probably to YouTube because that works the best and it's there for everyone. So I'll make sure that's there, and I'll make sure that we send out a link for Tigger members. We'll put it up in the Tigger board with the events and the main board. But if ever you can't find something, just write to me, and I'll locate it and just forward you the link. Jessica, great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. I'm listening while catching up on chores. There you go. You have a plan for today before you put up the Christmas tree. You know what? I was thinking about that too because we celebrate Christmas and we put the tree up. And somebody said to me over the weekend, I forget who I was talking to, they said, you might as well buy your tree right now because, like, I always think, like, oh, if we get it to closer to Christmas, it won't drop so many needles. And it's like, no, it's already cut and it's just sitting there rotting outside. So whether you put it in the living room now or the week before Christmas isn't going to make any difference. It's not going to be any fresher. And I thought, oh, God, that's true, isn't it? Unless you cut down your own tree at a Christmas tree farm. That's true. Something to think about, right? Well, something else to think about. I was planning, I was kind of hemming and hawing about what kind of content to do today because I have a lot of things that are possibilities. And if you remember at the end of the Friday show, I said, well, I'll probably be reviewing another book from Rug Cooking Magazine because they gave me a whole bunch that I didn't have. Unless something else like hits my radar. Guess what? Something else hit my radar. I'm going to open it on my phone so I can follow along and share with you. And I've got a slideshow too, of course. Something else hit my radar. Cass Gaylor wrote to me from Canada, I think Nova Scotia, and said, let me tell you what this email says, and then I'm going to start sharing some of these amazing images that she sent. She sent a link, and it said, and her email said, hi, Deanna, I thought you might like to see what our guild was doing this fall. And I clicked the link, and the link is in the description to this video here. So in this video, afterward or whatever, you'll see that link is there. I put, here's the link that we were talking about in the show today. Click on it, and it brings you to the page where I'm showing some of the images that I saw there. And then there's other images, and there's other links to click that bring you to the history of Grenfell and all kinds of interesting things. The Guild, right? This is a very busy guild. I don't know this guild personally. Of course, we're in two different countries, but I'm hoping I can get up there again this year. I was only there for a short time this past year. So yeah, I mean this what she sent, and I'm going to share some text with you while I show you some images. Is shortened to be it's called the Lindsay. Wait a minute, the KL. Now what's the K? Well, I don't know what the K is for. Kawartha, the Kawartha Lakes. Kawartha Lakes MA, Museum Archives. Okay, so the Kawartha Lakes Museum Archives is the site that's hosting this sort of blog. And it is an extremely thorough and well populated blog about rug hooking. It's very well done, and there's lots of links for beginners and people who love the history of rug hooking and people who've been rug hooking forever and just want to see some original pieces. So I'm going to start by showing you what I'm seeing here when I open the link. I did a screenshot of this first one, so the quality in this first slide is not great. Sorry about that. It's literally just the opening page. But for the other, come here, you stinker. Why is it doing this to me? Okay, wait a minute. Oh, that scared me. Whew, good times. So I made it small because it's literally a screenshot from the front of the page. So I want to share the text as I scroll down. And again, this link is there for you in the description. The KLMA is proud to have made this exhibition available so the rugs you're looking at were in a live exposition and in person from September 6th to October 25th. So of 2025. So it is closed, but fear not, it's here, right? It's here. It's here for us this morning, and it's here for you later to honor the incredible works of art created by the members of the Lindsay and District Rug Hookers, LDRH. The 50 pieces on display were chosen by the members to offer a variety of themes, materials, and styles, and include both heritage and contemporary pieces. So great variety of both technique and style here. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about the history. Since the mid-1980s, the Lindsay and District Rug Hookers, LDRH, have been committed to maintaining the historical art of traditional rug hooking. Members meet, just in case you're there or just in case you're traveling, members meet on Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Lindsay Armory, like Armory, as part of the Lindsay Seniors programming. New members are welcome at any time and any skill level, including beginners who are looking to learn. You are welcome. So I think I might have something along those lines for the next slide. Now, this is besides being a beautiful presentation and an exhibit that just closed, this is just a great site to look at. And you know what else it is? I know a lot of people write and say, oh, I'm trying to do something at the library. I'm trying to put something up that's educational, right? That is outreach for rug hookers, trying to get new hookers involved. This page is an amazing sort of prototype in terms of organizing your thoughts for doing a similar thing for your guild. I'm just going to move this over. I didn't realize it was so far off center. It's going to drive me crazy. This is a great thing to look at because the page starts out by saying where they meet and how often they meet and that you are welcome. And then it starts showing us images like this one. And this is the old jail, right? And this is, I think it's the old jail. It's maybe also the armory, I'm guessing. And this is where they meet. So, of course, rug hookers need a rug of where they meet, or maybe this is just a local place. Maybe it's not the armory because it does say the old jail. Sorry about that. Buttons is, oh boy, did he get in trouble yesterday. I didn't overreact, I promise. But when we got home from the mall, I mean, we were gone for 2 hours. He, I've told you before, he scratches the doors and because we left and he's panicked. He the front door that has those Brady Bunch cutouts. This is a 1960 house. That's the original door. He'd already pulled half the veneer off the door. Well, yesterday, I'm now calling him the wood chipper. He went right through the door. Like he went through the first panel. And all of the wood was on the ground like sawdust. And I'm thinking, I'm sorry, was he using the chainsaw? Did this Yorkie do this with his tiny toothpick feet? I was so angry. But don't worry, I'm never angry at him because he's a ding dong. And I know when I bring him over and show him the mess of wood and sawdust on the floor, I know he doesn't get it. But there he is barking again. And if I hear him claw, you're going to see me disappear because I ordered a crate for him, one of the furniture crates that looks like an end table. His butt's going in there when we leave. And I think he'll feel safer in there too because him just running around busting holes through doors. Last house and now this house. No thanks, Satan. Catherine, great to see you. Good morning. Marilyn, good morning. Great to see you. So it's so much fun to see images like this that show, I'm going to show you the one behind it in a minute, that show a place, right? Because we know that this is an original design. We know that this is an important building. It's great to see it. It's great to hook it. It really puts your mark, right? The organization's mark on these meetings, right? And they're very regular meetings. So I just want to show you for later because I'm not going to go through all of these now, but you can see that there's quite a few images that show you the show, right? The pieces that are in the show. So you can go back later and open them up and look at them in detail because some of them are commercial designs, but when I look at them, there's a lot that absolutely look like original designs. And the only reason I mention that is because you probably haven't seen them before. If they're original designs and you're not in this guild, you probably haven't seen them before. So that's always exciting, is to chase. Sorry, my husband just came back in. Hello. Oh no, happy Thanksgiving to you too. You're not late. You're great. Oh dear, perhaps he would. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Here, I have to show you now that I mentioned it. You know, I think he's a very anxious animal. So, I mean, he'd already done this 10 times. So if you see all of this, it's out of focus right now, but that's veneer that he took off of the door. And more particularly, there's a hole through the door. That's the other side of the door. I mean, you've seen Buttons, right? He is a tiny animal. He's a tiny Yorkie. I'm just, yeah, frustrated. Um, oh, yeah, I think so. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to do anything that makes him sad because I love him so much. I love him more than the door, but all the same. Holy crap. Now, this is one that I have seen before because this is a commercial image. And I know it must be a great favorite in Canada. This is one of Dion Fitzpatrick's, isn't it? Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe I've just seen it before. It says by Debbie Sloan. I'm sorry, I take it back. I thought because I'd seen it before that it must be a Dion Fitzpatrick, but it looks like it's not. And it does. I mean, it only matters because I want to attribute it correctly, right? But I know I've seen this one before, which made me instinctively think it was a. Let me see if there's text on that. Hold on. I'm just going to shoot down to that image. Um, Oh yeah, no, it was designed by Dion Fitzpatrick. So this is Hockey Night in Nova Scotia, hooked by Debbie Sloan, designed by Dion Fitzpatrick with mixed fibers. Like so much of the Canadian work that we see is yarn and wool strips and blingy stuff and sparkle stuff and sheep's curls and everything, right? The Canadian School of Rug Hooking is just in general, right? We're all different, but just in general, material wise and style wise, it's much looser and more diverse than the American School of Hooking historically. Oh, Juju Needle, you had a dog that did that when you were a kid. Hated to be, yeah, I guess it is just hated to be left alone. And you know what? I get it, but it's just funny because it's so much. I mean, he put a hole through the door in our last house, and he removed the molding, and the wood chipper chipped that up too. And now we're in this house with these beautiful original doors, and the house isn't wrecked yet, but he's making some good progress fast. And it's sometimes, it's not all the time. So I think it's he's gonna be crate pup, and I think he's gonna love it. We'll load it with comfy blankets and with some of our clothes that smell good, and we're only ever gone for a little while. It's not like, you know, we're taking him with us when we go away to Concord this year because I realize that they allow animals in the hotel rooms, which they never did before, but they do now. And I think I'm going to bring that crate thing then. It's going to be a piece of furniture in the back of the car. Not that we would leave him alone in the hotel room, but I just think maybe security wise, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in his brain is like the size of a lima bean, right? I don't know what goes on in there, but it's good to know that other people's animals have done this too because he's one spoiled baby. I know it, that huge gross tape measure tongue, right? The tape measure tongue. Oh, you know what? I love this piece and I love the way that it is framed, right? Can I say framed here? Because it's framed with two hockey sticks. That's super appropriate. It really is funny. It maintains the vibe of the piece, the spirit of the piece. I know for me, I'm a New Englander and there's a lot of hockey players around New England, but certainly not as many as Canada. So it's a funny subject because it's like, oh, it's sports, but the way Canadians feel about hockey is I guess the way New Englanders feel about, well, there are a lot of New Englanders who are diehard sports people, but I think a lot of us are just kind of village green people. How we feel about a village green, a rug of a village green kind of thing, or a covered bridge or something like that, you know. Absolutely beautiful piece hooked by Debbie Sloan. Um, and I wonder how many pieces in this are Deanne Fitzpatrick pieces. I would think, you know what, I would think quite a few. So I'm looking at some of the small pictures that you'll be able to look at larger if you pull up this link later, and I hope you do, because there's a lot going on there that's besides straight up rugs. There's like two-dimensional stuff, and I see a backet, things like that. I'll show you maybe one of those in a second. So continuing on with the way that this site is set up to draw people in and do great outreach, it's not only celebrating the show that closed at the end of October, but it's talking about the history of rug hooking. So for people who are coming in through the portal that is the museum, who are not rug hookers, they're Canadians, right, from Eastern Canada, they've certainly heard about rug hooking, but a little more history. And why not, right? Because when you're starting something new, like putting an exhibit together for a site or a blog or the library or the historical society, maybe you're thinking to yourself, I want to do it, but like it's so much work. I just can't think of how to put it together and in what order, right? The welcome that says who they are, how often they meet, and then the next sort of blurb of text, and they're short, says for over 200 years, rugs have been made by pulling loops of yarn or fabric through a sturdy base of burlap, linen, or rug warp. The traditional rug hook tool consists of a hook that pulls the loops through the backing material using the handle for leverage. Simple. Fabric may be new, but it's often recycled from worn clothing or blankets, or even, and it says dot dot dot, as with these two pieces on display, pantyhose. I don't think I put this image in there. Let me see. Maybe I did. I didn't put all the images because I thought it's going to be fun. Well, you know what? We can look at this image. This isn't the image that's next, but let me scroll this one for you for a second because you know where this conversation is going, right? So if we're talking about hooking with pantyhose, hold on, let me find that exact one. There's several, by the way. You know the conversation we had ages ago about this piece, and it can be either two or three people. There are variations of it, but we had a long conversation about this a few years ago, only to find that this was a Grenfell rug, and it looked so not like a Grenfell rug for me. That's why it was like ever confusing. But absolutely, it's a Grenfell rug, and of course, the Grenfell rugs are rugs that are made out of pantyhose. So we have this one to see, and that is, okay, that's the slide that I was looking at. The one at the top, same one, but it has an extra person. And let me make it a little bit bigger. I don't see the cat in the one on the top. This is one that you either like it or you really don't. Okay, the cat is there. It's either a cat or a dog, and we've seen both. But these rugs here that are the Grenfell rugs that are part of this display, part of this museum collection, are from the Heritage Rug Registry, and they are items from the Dr. Wilfred Grenfell collection. So there is a whole collection that is devoted to Grenfell rugs, aka rugs that are made by hooking with pantyhose. And here's a great favorite too, of course. This is another one from the Heritage Rug Registry, the Three Bears. And this is another one that's in the Grenfell collection. Um, I'm just thinking for a second because I didn't think that this was a Grenfell rug. I thought this was a blue nose rug. I know that it's a blue nose rug. I just wonder if Grenfell also did this rug, but I honestly don't think so. I think it's in the collection because it's a historic rug, and maybe the umbrella name for the collection is Grenfell, right? Rita says, my other kitty loves his crate. So, yes, crates give them security. That's what I was thinking. I don't want to do it as a punishment. I want to do it, number one, because I'd like to have a door. And number two, because he gets himself so riled up, I'm afraid he's going to hurt himself. He spent the whole evening licking his paws, and I'm not surprised because he was like a canine buzzsaw yesterday. I mean, yeah, I couldn't do that with my fingernails, right? And I'm like, 140 pounds heavier than he is, more than that. So, but hopefully less very soon. So the three bears, I know this to be a blue nose pattern because this is the second best selling blue nose pattern of all time and one of the oldest. And then down here we have the little puffins. This is a Grenfell design. So we're back to the Grenfell designs. And a lot of these Canadian rugs, it's worth looking at what the surface looks like. If you look at the three bears, it's like dot, 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 dot. And if we weren't in a segment where we were talking about hooking with pantyhose, I would assume that that was yarn. I'm not sure that it's not yarn, to tell you the truth. Um, has anybody ever seen, I'm just wondering, because it's such fine yarn, I'm wondering if anybody has seen some of these old Canadian patterns ever done in the Shedicomp style. You know what I mean? Because Shedicomp can often be much smaller. It's hard because now I'm second guessing myself. I know that the three bears is blue nose. I know that the three fishermen is Grenfell, and I'm assuming the puffins are Grenfell too. But it does make me wonder because the other big name is Shedicomp, of course, and it's the tiny, 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 tiny little hook like this big with a tiny little head and pulling up one yarn at a time like a typewriter. Right, like all in nice even rows, no directional hooking, just even rows. I wonder if what made me think of that is I can't stop looking at the three bears. Let me make it bigger because I'm thinking, I bet that could be done as a Shetty comp, just smaller, like a little dollhouse rug. I bet someone's done that, right? It seems because whether you're hooking very, very fine, like Shetty comp, or you're hooking in the Grenfell style, meaning with pantyhose, either way, you're going to come up with some very sort of formulaic loops, right? Like a tapestry. They're very fine loops, and you're not getting directional hooking. It's a different effect, right? Very small, very fine. In both cases, you're pulling up small loops. I wonder. And again, one more time, Puffin, and this is from that collection of the Heritage Rug Registry. Now, the registry is a big deal at and I'm wondering if this is the same thing. Does anybody know? The Museum of Rug Hooking, also in Nova Scotia. I wonder if this is this rug registry, because I know they have always encouraged people to register their hooked rugs. And I'm wondering if there's anything, I'm wondering if there's a bear out there. I'm wondering if there's anything that's equivalent here in the US. I know we've talked about this, but not lately. And I'm just thinking, of all of the times we go down these wild goose chases and somebody sees a rug or sends a rug in an old rug in an antique center or flea market for gallery night, and then we go down the rabbit hole playing with Google Lens, trying to figure out what pattern it is, where it came from. This is why we need to register rugs, because years from now, the thing about rug hooking, right, is when you hook your piece and you finish it, the name of the pattern and the maker on the border is now gone. So it's there if you want to dismantle the rug, but without doing that kind of violence to the rug, it's often gone. And then we just don't know. Without these things being registered, we just don't know. Okay, let's see. Let me come back over here and let's see what the next topic. Oh, snappies. Okay, hold on. That's one of Cass's own pieces. So I'm going to keep going with this, right? So we are sticking with the I don't know. It's like a blog. I guess it's a blog. Maybe it's not a blog. It's a page on a website. I don't know if that fits the definition of a blog. So now it's going to talk about the Grenfell mission specifically and just a paragraph of history about the Grenfell mission. So these are things that are moments in rug hooking that are unique to Canadian rug hooking history. So it's very fitting that it would appear here on this page in this exhibit. And, when I think about it, if I was going to do something similar, if I was putting up a display, I would also include a conversation about Grenfell and Shedicomp, and there would be a lot of Canadian rug hooking history in it because it's our shared history. But then I think I would go pretty much to, maybe I'd go to Kent and then to McGowan. We have, even though we share a lot of the history, right? We share the technique and we share the patterns through the years, through the centuries. we have a very different history. It's very different names, isn't it? So it's just funny to look at and think, I wonder if Pearl McGowan's going to be next, but probably not because she doesn't tie immediately to Canadian rug cooking history. Maybe there'll be some Garrett Bluenose, but this whole segment is devoted to talking about the Grenfell mission and how Dr. Wilfred Thomason Grenfell, uh, who died in 1940, originally from Parkgate, England, visited Labrador, and I'm paraphrasing, in Newfoundland, and found there were hardworking people there, mostly fishermen, who were plagued with poverty, hunger, disease, and exploitation. And I'm going to add, as an aside, also like the whimsical luck of the seasons, right? As when you work off the land, it has a lot to do with how that year is as well, and that can create misery if it's not a good year, or if there's several years in a row that are not good years. So Grenfell implemented a concept of a social and medical mission, which would be funded in part by a new cottage industry. So and I'm paraphrasing again. So in other words, the idea is he gets to this place and he sees that these people are hardworking and willing to work and happy to work, but not getting enough work and not making enough from the hard work that they're doing. And he thinks to himself, if I could create an industry here, a business that could be centered here, that could employ people, that could make a profit, then because he was a doctor, then I could use the profit from that enterprise to create a medical sort of platform, right? Like I would offer medicine, and it would be funded by this enterprise, this rug making enterprise. So it's a great idea because it's not like charity, right? And nothing wrong with charity, but the idea was the classic sort of teach a man to fish, right? Not in this case because they were already fishermen, but the idea was to teach something new that had money value and to be able to put the money value into the community where they really needed it for surviving and for not being sick and plagued with disease and dropping dead because of common little problems that could easily be solved if there was medicine there. So this is a very noble start. And this is not a unique story, right? There are a lot of missions in the late 19th century that have the same sort of idea in Maine, in New Hampshire. There's quite a few, right? There's more in Canada as well. So the idea is a good one, right? You're kind of you know that you can count on this money here because at this time the upper class is beyond wealthy, right? There's money up there. This is sounding so familiar. There's money up there, but the people down here can't reach it, and it's not trickling down, right? So I won't say anything else that has modern undertones, but the way to get around that, right, is to create stuff that those people will pay you for, and that's the only way you're going to get their money, and you need their money if you're going to keep living, right? So this is a really good idea. And again, there were lots of missions happening at this time as the Industrial Revolution took off, both in England and in the United States. People realized that the working class, right, not the middle class, but the working class worked like dogs, and they were not making enough money to survive, right? So a lot of people like Grenfell jumped in with great ideas like this, and knowing that there was so much money at the top, making something that would appeal to those people was the key, right? And it worked. It worked. And it's worth saying we've done a lot of shows on this. If you're new to the channel, we've done a lot of shows on this, but we've talked about a lot of the missions that we've seen in the late 19th and early 20th century. And one of the interesting offshoots of these kinds of missions has always been historically, and it's a funny one if you're a feminist, funny, has been that once you change the dynamic in a region, like Grenfell or like New Hampshire, right? The one that happened in New Hampshire. Once you start teaching people rug making, in this case, it's the women. It's the women who are doing the rug making. The men are still fishing, but the women are doing the rug making. And the fishing is not making that much money, and the rug making is. So it ends up in these situations, some more than others, spectacularly at the mission in New Hampshire. Was that I think it was the Abenaki. Maybe it wasn't the Abenaki. I have to look back at my own videos. But it's interesting because it changes the dynamic between men and women and within families and within communities. Sometimes for the good, because it's great to have that money there, but sometimes really for the bad, because the men are not mentally prepared for a plot twist that their wives are making all the money. And although you want the money, right, it's hard, pride wise, it's hard. So these missions are so interesting to read about, and there's so much reading to do on all of them, because it solved some problems temporarily. In other places, it solved problems for a long period of time. But of course, rugs come in and out of fashion, and as soon as rugs are not in fashion anymore, this isn't going to work anymore, is it? So all of these missions will peter out, but it's interesting to track their progress and certainly to look at the designs, because the designs that we see, Grenfell designs, any mission designs, represent what people's tastes were at that time. And they were the tastemakers, right? They were absolutely the tastemakers. We're going to show you puffins and you're going to want puffins, right? And people did want puffins, and people did want hunting scenes and whatever. And then the pendulum swung and rugs fell out of fashion again. And then these kinds of missions really languished. And then the region had the same problems or maybe some different problems. So interesting. All of that history is so interesting. It's nice to see, it's nice to be reminded on a site like this. It's like a walk through the greatest hits of, right? It's like a walk through the history of rug making. And you can do your deep dives later and go down all the rabbit holes to get more information. But it's a good recap. This is a very nice recap on this site. This is an adorable piece that is on a milk stool, and this is called Chickadee. This is by Cass Gaylor, who sent us this link with these photos, and it's done on monk's cloth. Right? You don't hear that a lot in Canada, monk's cloth. In 2017 with hand-dyed yarn. What a super beauty. What a super beauty. This is a great thing to think about now. Oh, hey, Goretti, Canada episode, right? Just right for you. I made it after some early morning Christmas shopping. How fun is that? Oh, I'm feeling it. I did a little bit at the mall yesterday, just a little bit. Because we did eventually park. It was painful, but we did in the end. I love Chickadee, and I think this is a great thing to see at this time of year, because I know a lot of people are wanting to make homemade gifts, and making something on a stool you already have, or a stool you found at the thrift store, is a great idea. Who doesn't like a stool with a hooked top? And remember, if you're thinking, oh, yeah, easy for you to say, it's not easy. The sewing part of it is not easy. But I do have a super long video on the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel that's like, I think it's a couple hours long, beginning to end. And it's not hooking the thing, it's putting the thing onto the stool. And whether you have a round stool, an oval stool, a square, whatever, it's going to work the same way. So that's there for you. And I'm stapling and stuff in the end, but it's extremely tidy and gift worthy. So be thinking about that. Cass gives us this great Cass gives us this Cass gives us this great example of Chickadee. Really pretty piece. Must have been so much fun for this guild to choose these 50 pieces. They must have been like bringing them in and sorting through them, and there must have been some lively, fun discussions, right? I really love this piece. Let me make it a little bit bigger. This is my favorite kind of hooking because it's so wacky and original, Lighthouse Lady by Debbie Sloan. And the design is by Jane Steele of Riverhouse Rug Hooking. I know Jane as well, and I've ordered from Jane, and she does great work up there. She's a very Canadian brand, and make sure you check her out if you don't know her. Just because of life and tariffs and border stuff and changing stuff doesn't mean you can't still shop from Canada and vice versa, right? Things might cost more, whatever, but it's worth checking out our friends in Canada and checking out what their designs are, because they are very different than much of the stuff that you find here. Lighthouse Lady, and again, Jane Steele of Riverhouse Rug Hooking, hooked by Debbie Sloan. Artist note, this is a self-portrait celebrating my first visit to Nova Scotia, and in particular, Peggy's Cove. This rug is hung on an old farm implement. I was wondering, at first I thought it was like a gun, and then I thought, well, obviously it's not. and few. And then I thought, oh, what is it? Like part of a yoke or something? I still don't quite know, but it's an old farm implement given to me from a friend who found it on her property. What a beautiful way to hang it, right? What an interesting way to hang it. And what a fun self portrait. And it just goes to show, right? Because it's very simple lines here. It just goes to show this is designed by Jane Steele, right? Riverhouse Rug Cooking. You don't need to have a million elements in a piece to make it unique. You can just have, in this case, the character, the lighthouse, and the rays, and everything else is sort of blends into the background. It's supports the storytelling, but what we're really looking at is the woman and the lighthouse and the crazy shape. The idea of the crazy lighthouse making those two blasts of color is so interesting to me because normally we see a lot of rug houses in the McGowan style, right? And when we see them, they're typically not on and they're just there. Like you're looking at the architecture and you're thinking, oh, how quaint. It's just like a postcard of the north, whatever, of the shoreline. But this is so interesting to me as a design because um, as a designer, sorry, that sounds pretentious, but I I would have never thought it would be okay to put the lighthouse right above the woman's head because it reads as a hat. Um, Turns out it is okay, and it's funny and it's fun, and this piece just gives me a lot of energy. Right? It reminds me of vacations. It's nighttime. It's just such an interesting take on a portrait with a landscape in the background. It's really unexpected. It's a lot of fun. Yes, sometimes less is more. It's true, Rita. And sometimes more is better. And sometimes the most is the best. But sometimes less is more. And I think if you approach if you're an aspiring rug designer and you want to do some of your own designs or you want to start a line of designs, I think it's important to remember you can, once you draw the lines on your backing, it's not the same thing when you start hooking. Once you start hooking, takes on a life of its own, and it's not going to be what you thought. So you might as well keep it simple to get started, and see how it evolves. And the only way to evolve your style, I think, is to lay down some very simple lines and to hook it in whatever way speaks to you. So this is wild and crazy hooking, and I'm seeing a lot of confetti and movement in the background. I'm seeing that Debbie likes to do patterning, right? There's even patterning in the hair. And the three-dimensional glasses are super funny too. Just a fun piece. Fun piece that's reminding us, what is possible. Everything is possible. And this is another great piece. This is the full picture. I don't want you to think I cropped it. This is another one of Cass's pieces. Footprints. Whoa, this is so cool. I have seen, shaped, hooked pieces in galleries that are like birds and turtles and stuff like that. And footprints. Like how fun. I mean, and the fact that they're so colorful, I just thought this is really cool. This is really personal. This is really cool. This looks like it looks like four different shoes. Maybe this is a family. I just love the idea of it. Marking, you're taking a hike together. You see your less is just faster. Yeah, less is also faster. Which and I think part of, and again, one is not better than the other. It's all about style. It's all about the exact piece we're talking about. But for people who, I'm gonna describe myself, right? So I'm not calling anybody out, and I'm not thinking about anybody in particular. For people who are super ADHD like I am, cannot stick with the piece for a long time, or you not just fall out of love with it, you begin to hate it. I have to work on stuff and get it done fast, or I get depressed, I get stalled. My energy stalls, and sorry, looks like a real number, but I'm not going to pick it up. Um, and with for people with this kind of frenetic energy, faster is better, right? Faster is better. So if you're the same kind of person as me and you're like, let's go, I want to finish this in the next couple of weeks, I want to start thinking about and working on my next piece, I need that variety, I need that change, right? My brain works best, my engine's all fire when things are changed and dynamic and they're keeping me interested and excited. If you're not that person and you're like, dang it, I'm going to work on the wood grain of these wooden planks, um, um, until it's done and it's perfect, then this conversation doesn't matter to you. But if you're the kind of person who's like, give me fun, give me fast, give me lively, I'm moving on, then you want to think about designing in a much simpler style, and you want to improvise more. You want to design less and improvise more. And your style will come out while you're improvising. You're going to be sitting there going, well, it turns out I like to hook geometrics in the background, or I'm going to pattern out this background with geometrics or with confetti, or I'm going to just bust out my stash of like sheep's curls or pantyhose or whatever and use that now. And if you're not enjoying hooking, you might be hooking the wrong kind of thing for yourself, right? That's why classes are so tough, because some people are start hooking and they're like, ah, this is perfect, this is for me, and others are like, this is really slow. I'm not making really slow progress. We have to be thoughtful about this stuff. Jessica, I know you can relate to that. I wasn't thinking of you incidentally, but you are kind of the definition of that. You move fast, and your brain moves fast, and you need to keep changing projects. And if you can, you should, right? This to me is one of those great high energy projects like the lighthouse. It's just such fun, and it tells a great story. I mean, I got to admit, we hardly hike as a family. We are such lazy pigs, but sometimes we do. Sometimes, we're forced to walk somewhere. And sometimes we even want to. But I see our footprints in the sand all the time, and I've never thought of doing anything fun like this. And it's just such a cool idea. There's probably lots of variations of things like this that you could do that would be super personalized and tell the story of your family, um, that are so original. Now, hold on, let me find this one. I really, really liked this. I'm going out of sequence now, but you have the website, so you're going to be able to, there we go. You're going to be able to look at it later. This piece is called Sparkling Tree, and it is by Bonnie Scholey, Scholey, hand dyed, hand cut wool, 2023. Now, the picture is at an angle. I love what it's hung on also. Is that like an old part of a loom or something? Is that what that is? Super pretty. I love this piece. Oh, God, again. Oh my God. This Canadian feel, right? It's simple. This is super, super simple. It's only two houses, and one of them is even cropped. So it's like one house and then some change, right? And the thing that is keeping the composition sort of exciting and super artistic is this canopy, this sort of umbrella feature in the top, where this one impossible tree comes up and just blooms into a cloud sized mass of red. And it is so smart. It makes a lot of interest in the top, because you can see some color change in the top. You can handle that in any way you want, but it tells this great story of the layers of the busy ground, right? It looks almost like frozen. It looks like little veins, right? And then the village, right? We're seeing just a snapshot of the houses there, and then going right up into the sky, getting lost in that tree in a good way. It's such a great shape. It's such an Alphonse Mucha kind of a shape. It has a very, very Art Deco feel. It's a very simple piece, but man, it's like a punch. It is a punch in the throat for me, because it is so simple that it's brilliant. I think this is a brilliant design. And the person who made this, Bonnie, obviously knows where this is, and it's that much more meaningful. But in terms of a design device, using a tree this way, I'm not going to do it because Bonnie did it. I think she's a genius. I wish I would have thought about this, because it creates like a canopy layer, and everything under that becomes the storytelling. It gives great importance to the story of the two houses. And they're in sharp contrast with what's going on in the background. Just the blue sky, that's in great contrast to the red. If I saw these colors laying out on a table, I have to say, I would have thought to myself, ah, that's probably not going to be something for me. It's totally something for me. I love everything about this piece. It's a personal thing too, but it really speaks to me, because simple is hard. We say this all the time. Doing something simple is hard. Getting it right is hard. And this is another great example, just like the portrait with the lighthouse. This is an example of when you do something super simple and it really works. And you know what's helping this piece be successful? The rug hooking. I'm not kidding. Same thing with the lighthouse. You can draw it, and as a drawing, it probably looks like a bit like meh, but when it's hooked, it looks like whoa. So remember that. Just go beyond. Start when you start your hooking project. If you do what I do and you're like, "Oh, I love this pattern I drew. I love it. I love it." I hate it. I really hate it. I super hate it. I hate myself. I also hate myself. I hate everything, right? And it just snowballs. I hate everything. And then usually the maybe not for you. For me, that's exactly the chronology. For me, the pendulum then swings and I'm like, yeah, maybe this is okay. And then it's like, this is really good. And then eventually it's like, I am awesome. Look at me. I did it. It's this is yeah part of having lots of different problems, a whole cocktail of crazy problems. But if you can identify with any part of that trajectory, you know that you're normal. And as creative people, we do this. So give yourself a minute when you start working on a project like that, particularly a simple project of your own design. Give yourself a minute, watch it get filled in, Jessica, and you'll see that the rug hooking does so much of the work for you. Forget about the line drawing, just get going. Now, there's another section of this display that was so pretty. Rug hooking, and I'm reading, rug hooking isn't just for art to hang on the walls or cover the floors. Pillows, clothing, purses, stuffed animals. Art is only limited by your imagination. So she shows here on the blog the gingerbread house, right? Those have been super popular lately. And hang on, I'm going to move you. And the rabbit is a wall rug, but then you see the backet, right? The jacket. You see the pillow. You see some three-dimensional stuff on the table. I think there might be one more. There is one more. Gotta say, these are the cutest trees for me ever. I love this idea. It is always a struggle doing tree stuff. I super, super, super love this idea. For a hooked tree, this is my favorite one I've seen. I love the whimsy. It sort of has like a Mary Engelbreit feel to it, way up on these tall stalks, very unrealistic. And there's that little evergreen way up there. It is so charming. It's very folky and super fun. Let's see, I have a few more for you. Hang on. Oh, this one is really pretty. So this is another good example of something that is different. This is something that's normally not my taste, but in this case, it's very different for me. Covered Bridge by Vicki McGowan. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope. That was muscle memory right there. Covered Bridge by Vicki Gowan. I'm sorry. Gowan. Wool Strips, 2006. What's so great about this piece for me, because I have seen barns and covered bridges and all these kinds of rustic buildings before. This one is so, I love the circle and I love this ornate frame because rug hooking is usually regarded as rustic and primitive and folky. And this is a pretty ornate frame. I think it really creates this great contrast, and it says of the piece that this grand frame is holding, it says, wow, right? This is art. This is proper art. Make no mistake, this is proper art, right? Yes, it's fiber, but it's proper art. And I just love the way, because I've seen patterns like this, and maybe this is Vicky's original pattern. Usually with covered bridges, you see very, very predictable composition. You see the road snake out from the bridge, and everything is proper with the horizon line, vanishing point, and all this stuff. This one is a little bit different. We've got the trees kind of blocking the bridge, which already is interesting because it's kind of interrupted the building, right? It's not like just look at the building. It's more like look at the landscape. And while you're at it, check out that sky. There's a lot of like pink and periwinkle in that sky. But the way that the tracks in the snow curve a little bit really mimics what the frame is doing. And I think that is so clever. It's a very cheerful bridge with the blue sky and the pinks in it. It's a cold, bitter winter scene, but the trees look bleak, right? It looks like dead winter, but it's a very cheerful piece, and that gold frame is so charming. It's so unexpected and charming. That's one of the first covered bridge rug hooked scenes that I have ever really loved. This is the last one I have for you today. I'm going to show you some details of this, though, because this really is a stunner. This speaks to a section of the blog where I'm reading again. It says, different fabric and techniques add textures and three-dimensional details. Look at this little cutie patootie. Neek by Marlene Edwards, Mixed Fibers, 2014. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. I want to show you some details in this piece as our final for today. God, do I love this piece. Do you see that little face, like that little furry face with all those like furry natural wool fibers hooked in there? And how so simple, right? So simple, that little delicate little face, little demure posture, so striking with these dark natural colors against like a colorful pastel background, just like the covered bridge before it, a colorful pastel background. How fun is that? It creates a very sharp contrast, and it just makes it so extra tactile. um, I love this little body. And that tree, that very stylized tree coming up, it looks like it's just blossoming to spring, right? All of these little dit dots, little pitons on the tree. They look a little bit three-dimensional, maybe little French knots, or maybe just loops pulled up higher. It's probably just loops. But the wiggle of the tree is really stunning. You see that strong directional horizontal going across, dragging all of that color blur, all of that sort of muted sunset type color. And down in the ground, you're seeing something similar, but it's vertical now. We're looking at a much, let me see if I can make that bigger actually. Do I have a bigger? Well, here's a bigger one of this little face. Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. And how sort of fortuitous to have this nice close up, because we're seeing that there's a very narrow cut in the face and a much thicker cut in the background. I still think it's probably a 4, something like that. It's not a super, maybe a 5. It's not a super wide cut, but you see how the loops are not all even, right? They don't have to be all even. We were told that at one point, and now we know that nobody is the boss of you, and they don't have to be even. It looks really interesting when they're not, right? And I'm wondering if the pieces in the little face are the same size strip, just cut in half with a pair of scissors. And I want to show you this. We can look at the grass, because the grass has the vertical orientation as opposed to the horizontal. Wait a minute. There we go. So you can see here that the grass looked different because it is different. And you can see a little bit of the sky here too, but the grass is clippy. So in other words, it's rug hooked and it's a wider cut and it's clipped. So you want to be sure you don't have a lot of holidays with this, right? Because you want to be sure that when you're packing a little bit when you're doing stuff with clippies, because the pieces become thinner just because the loops aren't there kind of fighting side to side against itself. The clippies will fall in like little pieces of paper much, much tighter. You want to be sure that that area is really tight if you plan to, if you're clipping your loops, right? So this is just a clipped bottom, but it gives a whole different effect. And then you're seeing Prati on these flowers and really, giving it that three-dimensional, here, let me come back over here, giving it that three-dimensional pop. Hold on one second. I want to do one more. Love, love, love the grass. I know it. It's so smart. It is so smart. And look at it again from the distance. It's a lot of technique going on here. The wool that's in the sheep, that ombre background, that's probably a dip dye, the high little loops in the tree to give some height, right? Make them look like they're coming at you. On the other side, balanced with these big Prati blooms coming way out at you, also breaking the border, right, in sort of diagonal areas. And then from a distance, the grass looks like it might be yarn, and up close you can see it's not yarn. It's just clipped loops. So we're talking about wider loops and clipped and lots of color changes. And it's giving you a much more shaggy appearance than, for example, the sky. So really interesting. And remember that this whole slideshow, the link to it that Cass Gaylor sent us is in this video right now. So if you're thinking, I want to look at everything some more, when you go on, this is what I used for the thumbnail, the Lindsay district, right? When you go on with your phone or whatever, you can make it bigger. And you can check out all the details of the beautiful works that are there. And you can look at the pictures of the show itself and try to make them bigger, right? I don't know if you can do that on your computer. That's one thing I know I can only do on my phone. You can look at them bigger and go, oh, I think I know that one. I've seen that one. I have never seen that one. And if you're interested, you could always send them an email and say, oh, I love this one. Can I know more about this piece? Or just send always nice to give a compliment, send a message to say like, I love the piece with the sheep. I love this piece. I love the show. I love the text that was done. Thank you for giving us this great sort of in a nutshell history of Canadian rug hooking, but also thank you for showing us these highly personal pieces. Right, I'm saying mine right now. To Cass and to anybody who's out there listening, particularly those of you who are part of this show. I loved seeing these really personal, original pieces. Super, super fun. Gave me lots to think about, lots of inspiration. And I love seeing them in there with those truly historic pieces as well, right? So, what a beautiful show that this must have been. And I wouldn't have made it up there this year anyway, at least at that point. So I'm very happy to have this link and to be able to look at the rugs now, right? It's as close as we can get. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, Cass, thank you so much for sending the link and for allowing me to look at it and talk about it here on the show. Well, you know what? Let's take a look at the week ahead, just so we know what our plans are next. I'm going to give a shout out one more time if anybody is local who's watching. We have our Christmas Yuletide Festival coming up, and I could really use help in the festive fiber room with it's not hooking, but it's knotting the trees on the wooden bases that I have. And I definitely need help in there with that because I can't do it by myself all day. And I'm really hoping someone will say, oh, I'll pop by and I can help you for a couple of hours. That would do it. Like that would do it. I can take some trees home and some of the supplies and just keep them as a thank you because I could really use some help with that. So that's next week. That's not this week. So tonight, Yvonne Eiten-Scott is going to be on Tigger talking live starting at, I think, 8 p.m. about her artist residencies all over the world. And Wednesday, let's see, okay. Thursday, Thanksgiving. Friday. Oh, I can't be on Friday. Okay. I felt like I had something Friday where I'm going to see the musical White Christmas with my sister. So we're doing that on Friday, and I won't be on Thursday because we're driving to New Haven, so it's not like sometimes I do Thanksgiving shows in the morning. You know what? Let me see if I can put together a quick Thanksgiving show to either run in the afternoon on Wednesday. I'm going to one of my friends' sort of sober Thanksgiving fest. He's been sober for 1 year, and I want to go and celebrate that with him. Um, Let me see if I can put together like a Thanksgiving themed show and either run it on Wednesday afternoon or on Thursday morning before we head out for Thanksgiving. I'm going to work on that. I'd like to do one more show this week, so let's see how that goes. In the meantime, everybody, I hope to catch you. I'll post when I can do that because I'm confident that I can do that. And thank you, Goretti. And yeah, stay in touch. Happy Thanksgiving to those celebrating this week here in the U.S. And look for a second show popping up this week. And in the meantime, ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Let me know what's going on with you, working on Magpie Times, working on books. I'm getting a lot of patterns out to people who are helping with books. Anything that you have on your mind that we can brainstorm about, hit me. And in the meantime, happy Thanksgiving.